So, the Infographics Show decided to make this whole video that's about our hobby. So, I'd like to introduce myself first of all. I am Lycan, or at least Lycan Auxiliary, that's my YouTube username. I've been involved with the Nerf community since 2006. I have been modifying since at least 2008 in some form or another. So I would say I'm relatively qualified to talk about Nerf in general. So we're going to be doing a full-on breakdown of pretty much everything that's wrong with the Infographics Show, and I hope you enjoy.
From quietly stalking a foe, waiting for the perfect moment to pull the trigger and deliver the winning shot that will take out the enemy, to expertly dodging and weaving through the battlefield while avoiding enemy fire.
That depends on your role within your particular group. In my case, I'm a heavy support player, so what I do is I provide supporting fire, aka I fire enough ammunition that the enemy cannot move effectively. And also, sin number one in this, eye protection. So I guess my objection here is that it really it depends, and usually if there's more cover, you just hide behind the cover.
To launching a devious sneak attack.
That depends. Not every single game is going to involve sneaking or even have a situation where sneaking is going to be a viable strategy.
On an unsuspecting victim. Who doesn't love a good Nerf battle? The Nerf gun is an ubiquitous toy beloved by children and adults alike.
A little bit of a warning, they constantly use the word gun to refer to Nerf. We do not use that term in the hobby because gun usually gives connotations that Airsoft has to deal with, and uninformed people on the internet often try to shut down groups because they hear the word gun, their brain shuts off, and then they try to ban it because they think we're talking about actual firearms. They do correct this later in the video, but I just want to get this out of the way.
But how does a Nerf gun work? Nerf guns, or Nerf blasters as their creator, the toy company Hasbro, prefers to call them, are an incredibly popular toy that have been around since the early 90s. The first Nerf gun introduced in 1991 was the Nerf Blast-A-Ball in the Aerostorm, a toy revolver that shot Nerf's now famous foam darts.
The hint is in the name of the Aerostorm. It shot Nerf arrows and the Blast-A-Ball shot balls. They did not shoot the currently existing Nerf dart, and the currently existing Nerf dart is an adaptation of the Streamline dart, which did not exist until 2006. And it was first used in the Nerf Longshot.
Today, there are more than 21 different lines of Nerf guns and dozens of different models of guns. And that's not even counting the many discontinued lines from the years past. Add in a plethora of accessories like scopes and sights, dart holders, even cameras, plus crossovers with other popular brands like Marvel, Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Fortnite, and Halo, and it's easy to see why Nerf guns remain one of the most popular toys on the market.
While it is absolutely true that there are definitely all sorts of tie-ins between other lines, I am surprised that they put in G.I. Joe because G.I. Joe is not a very significant player in the reshells and tie-ins for Hasbro, and in fact, the funny thing is, until very recently, Halo belonged to Mattel, and the Halo blasters were only in the Boomco line, which did not shoot the current foam darts.
Most modern Nerf guns shoot the same standard foam darts as the 90s models.
Patently false. The vintage micro darts and the vintage mega darts were not anywhere near compatible with current darts unless you're talking about a front loader, and even then, the vintage mega darts were not the same caliber as modern mega darts. They were more of ultra caliber, which is in between standard 50 cal and mega 75 cal.
And can reach speeds of around 30 miles an hour.
No one in the hobby actually uses miles per hour as a metric for determining velocity. And in fact, 30 miles an hour is only 44 feet per second, which no currently available Nerf blaster actually shoots. In fact, that's 10 feet per second less than the Jolt. So no, you're wrong on all accounts here.
But many of the more advanced models have come a long way from the days of the Aerostorm. The Hailfire comes with 8 magazines that hold 18 darts each and can shoot all 144 of its darts in just 30 seconds.
Several problems. One, you are depicting that with 6-round mags, which is not an 18 dart magazine. The 18 dart magazines are substantially larger. Second is this whole miles per hour thing. Nobody uses that measurement in the hobby. And also, 144 darts in 30 seconds would be about 5 darts per second, which can only practically be accomplished if you're either finger banging it, which is not a thing you can do with the hailfire, or if you have a fully automatic blaster that shoots as fast as the hyperfire, which the hailfire is neither. It is semi-automatic only.
At amazing speeds of 50 miles per hour, the Rival series, designed for older kids and grown-up kids at heart, can shoot darts at a staggering 75 miles per hour.
Converting, again, the miles per hour that nobody actually uses is 110 feet per second, which is 10 feet per second faster than most available Rival blasters actually shoot. The Nerf Hyper line shoots 110 feet per second, or at least it's claimed that it will. And 110 feet per second is actually getting into super stock territory.
Some of the most advanced Nerf guns don't come cheap. The N-Strike series Vulcan and Long Strike models retail for more than $500 each.
What? You literally went to Amazon and found the most price scalper level nonsense and said, oh, that is the retail price. They don't even sell it anymore and they don't sell it at $500. They never sold it at $500. And 35 feet is N-Strike level performance. That's around 55 FPS, feet per second. I have no idea why you think that's advanced, but then again, you haven't really advanced since 2009 in most of your arguments here.
And they have a range of more than 35 feet. It's not just the guns themselves that have evolved over time. Nerf darts have come a long way since the 90s too.
Then why did you say that they were in any way compatible with the vintage micro darts that Hasbro no longer produces? I mean, they're literally not. They're all descended from the Streamline dart, which came out in 2006. So what's going on here?
While the traditional 3-inch long foam darts are still in use, there are now also larger mega darts and darts with specialized tips, like suction cups or Velcro tips. You can get glow-in-the-dark darts, whistler darts that make noise when fired, or even message darts that come with a special pen and decoder. And with the rise of more high-powered models, there are also elite darts, which are shorter and shoot faster.
Yes, elite darts do shoot further than their Streamline counterparts, but that's because the weight distribution is vastly different, and the blasters that power them shoot about 70 FPS compared to 55. So it's not the dart inherently, it's actually the blaster involved, and also takes less energy to actually launch them. And also, they are not substantially shorter than the Streamline darts that they replace because, well, they're designed to replace them and be a simple drop-in upgrade. So no, they are not shorter.
And high-impact rounds, which are small foam balls. Hasbro produces more than 450,000 darts each year. Since the Nerf gun was first released, that's more than 4 billion darts in total.
Vintage micros are not the ancestors of modern darts, so you can't really say that they've been producing foam projectiles in general and then say that the modern darts have been in production for that long. That's not quite how it works. I'm not sure the exact numbers of how many modern darts have been produced since 2006, but it's a pretty high number regardless.
In the last 5 years alone, enough darts have been produced to circle the Earth a full 4 times. Saying Nerf guns are popular might just be a bit of an understatement. Nerf guns have survived the test of time and proven to be one of the most enduring and popular toys for the last 3 decades. But these fun, simple toys actually have some powerful engineering behind them.
And here's where we get to the part where I really have problems with this particular video, because it has all kinds of misinformation. Like, I mean, there's little niggly things about when darts existed or what certain darts do, but this is where we actually get into completely false information. Like, ridiculous, completely false stuff. And they also leave out a big part of the whole hobby. Flywheelers, the thing my loadout is based around.
And while the guns themselves have evolved and changed over the years, how they work really hasn't changed all that much. One of the secrets to Nerf's success is the fact that all the guns work in a remarkably similar way.
Hasbro does reprint stuff, yes, but that doesn't mean that all Nerf blasters have the same mechanism or that the parts are even interchangeable.
Almost every one of the dozens of different models of Nerf guns available on the market today and throughout the toy's history fall into one of 2 categories.
You forgot about battery-operated flywheelers.
A Nerf gun is generally either a spring-powered gun or a pump-action gun.
Or it's an electronic flywheeler, you gits.
The now discontinued Nightfinder is a great example of a spring-powered Nerf gun. The small handheld gun is a simple direct plunger mechanism on the back of the barrel to fire a single dart. In a spring-powered Nerf gun, the plunger is pulled back to suck air into the plunger tub.
It's called the plunger tube, not the plunger tub.
A rubber O-ring on the end of the plunger creates an airtight seal and pressurizes the air in the tube. This converts the potential energy into kinetic energy, which is stored in the gun's spring. When the trigger is pulled, the energy in the spring is released and the plunger shoots forward, giving force to the pressurized air and causing the dart to fire out of the barrel. The higher the pressure in the tube, the farther and faster the dart will travel. In contrast, the rival twin shock is
Here we go. Brace yourselves for Mount Stupid.
a pump-action blaster that holds 10 mega-sized darts and fires 2 darts at the same time. With an impressive range of up to 85 feet, the gun is primed by repeatedly pumping the action.
No, the twin shock is a Springer and you only pump it once.
When the action is pulled back, it fills the pump tube with air.
No, the twin shock is a Springer that uses a spring.
And when pushed forward, the air in the tube is compressed. A valve in the pressure chamber lets the compressed air into the chamber itself.
No, it is spring-powered, not air-powered. They have not used a back pressure tank system like this since the Mediator barrel. How do you get this so wrong, and yet you get details on frickin' suction darts right?
Where it's stored until the gun is ready to fire. The trigger is attached to a rod, which when pulled back releases the air in the pressure chamber, which travels into the barrel and fires the dart.
The twin shock is not a Titan. They haven't released air-pressured stuff for... How do you get things this freaking wrong?
Some guns, like the Nerf Zombie Strike Hammershot, feature a rotating cylinder that automatically loads the next dart into place after a round is fired. After the trigger is pulled and the round is fired, a piston comes out and latches onto the cam bar, which moves forward and rotates the cam.
And the main mechanism of storing energy is a spring, so it's a Springer.
Which in turn rotates the cylinder and loads the next dart. For the Nerf enthusiast who understands the basics of the engineering behind how the Nerf guns work,
unlike you, who thinks the twin shock is a frickin' Titan,
there's a whole other world of options available to them. The Nerf gun's simplicity makes it perfect for tinkering.
yes, it is very possible to mod Nerf blasters, but you should not modify stuff unless you have a good idea of how to do it safely. There are plenty of actual modders on YouTube who will teach you how to do a lot of these things.
And many die-hard Nerf fans will apply modifications or mods to their gun to achieve maximum performance from these seemingly basic toys. Some Nerf gun mods are incredibly simple and they don't require any special engineering knowledge or skills.
The Triad doesn't just shoot 30 feet as far as I can remember.
Many of the simplest mods of Nerf guns have the ability to fire multiple darts one after the other. The InStrike Elite Triad has 3 barrels and fires the standard 3-inch darts up to 30 feet. Even when all 3 barrels are loaded with a dart, only a single barrel will fire each time the trigger's pulled, with a half-second delay between shots. The barrels of these multi-shot guns are a maze of different air pathways, and the pressurized air is directed into one barrel at a time through a process that Nerf engineers describe as a cascading blast of compressed air. After a dart is fired, a valve locks out the airway, directing the pressurized air to travel into another chamber, where it fires off a successive round.
The actual term is Smart Air Restrictor.
With a little knowledge about how these compressed air mechanics work in the gun, a smart Nerf enthusiast can perform a simple hack to get their gun to fire multiple shots at once.
At the cost of a substantial dip in velocity, because now instead of the amount of air required to shoot one dart, you are now redirecting that to 8 different shots in the case of the rough cut, for example. So it's not generally advised to do so.
By loading the darts only partway into the barrel, the valves will remain half open, allowing the compressed air to seep into all 3 chambers at once. When the trigger is pulled, all 3 darts will fire simultaneously. But because the compressed air split between 3 payloads, the darts will not fire as far or as fast as they normally would.
Normally, the way that air restrictors are actually bypassed is to actually remove the mechanism entirely, and loading them half in will cause them to be pushed forward under spring pressure, which will basically make them not fire at all.
For those who like to tinker and experiment, they can take these simple hacks even further. Entire online communities exist that are dedicated to modifying Nerf guns, and some of the most popular mods involve increasing the range and power of a gun, modifying the gun to shoot multiple darts for a buckshot effect, or even combining multiple guns into a single monster gun. With some household materials like sandpaper, a glue gun, some plumber's goop, a Dremel drill, a hacksaw, and some pipe cutters, these savvy Nerf enthusiasts can modify or replace barrels.
Note the use of hot glue in this particular image. Hot glue is not something we typically use because it's not strong. Instead, we use epoxy and epoxy putty. And also, combining different blasters into a single one is called an integration in the hobby, just so you know.
Remove the gun's internal air limiters, replace springs or improve seals to give their gun an extra edge.
Generally speaking, we do not remove air restrictors because air restrictors are a feature that stops you from breaking the blaster, and also air restrictors need to stay in for smart AR blasters.
Making homemade darts called Steffens is also popular among the mod crowd.
Not anymore because glue domes with fishing weights in them are actually dangerous, and also Worker literally sells them by the hundreds, so we don't even need to make them anymore. We can just buy half-length darts that are more stable and accurate.
These darts typically don't have the rubber tip found on official Nerf darts, which allows them to be backloaded into the barrel, as opposed to front-loaded as the guns are originally designed.
Actually, Steffen darts were almost exclusively used with hoppers or RSCBs in those days, and we typically don't backload them into cylinders. I mean, it was done, but we never really tend to do that.
This allows the bullet to travel the entire length of the barrel, where it receives optimum pressure, giving Steffens a much better range than store-bought darts.
It also helped just a bit that these blasters also shot in the 200 to 300 FPS range, but that's partly due to the fact that the blaster was so powerful, especially if it was a homemade rainbow or something to that effect. So it's not entirely the dart's fault. You can shoot a standard dart out of a rainbow pistol at very high velocities as well.
With such a huge range of guns and accessories, not to mention all the modifications that can be made to them, it comes as no surprise that there's an equally huge range of games that can be played with Nerf guns. While sneaking up on unsuspecting friends or annoying siblings might be plenty of fun, many Nerf lovers have gotten even more creative with their Nerf games.
The only one that my group, the VFBA, actually does in that list is Capture the Flag, and even then, there's the difference between organized and unorganized games.
There are classics like Nerf Hide and Seek, Freeze Tag, or Capture the Flag, and there are countless ways to test a gun's and a shooter's precision with target-based games.
Unless you very heavily modify the blaster and have something like a scar barrel on the end of your blaster, which is a modified rifling attachment, then the darts are not accurate to prove anything, really.
Like tin can or paper plate target shooting, or for an extra challenge, a game of attempting to shoot a ping pong ball off the top of a pop bottle without knocking the bottle over.
Stock Nerf darts with stock blasters are not that accurate, and really our number one enemy is a red solo cup because, I mean, look at them, they're just evil.
Some smart parents have even found ways to incorporate Nerf guns into fun and educational games, like spelling games and math challenges.
And the parents obviously don't understand how inaccurate Nerf darts are. I mean, you can point your blaster at a target at 35 feet if it's a stock blaster and miss it by 5 feet. That's how inaccurate we're talking. It's a giant cone of fire.
Of course, one of the most popular Nerf games out there is Nerf Battle Royale, where teams of players attempt to win total dominance by taking out an entire enemy team.
It's called Team Deathmatch, and it's nothing like the Battle Royale that was done by Fortnite.
Creative Nerf battlers have been known to construct impressive battlefields, complete with cardboard barricades and
Well, look, they finally got something right about the community. Here is our battlefield in the VFBA. This was 2 years ago, by the way.
camouflage gear. In recent years, as the generation of kids who grew up with the original Nerf guns have gotten older, Hasbro has smartly realized that it's not just kids who love Nerf guns. With the release of the Rival series made for teens and adults, Nerf battles have become nearly as popular as paintball among older Nerf enthusiasts, and the Rival series has become one of the most popular series for custom modifications.
What? Something else they got right?
Knowing all about how Nerf guns work and the ways in which Nerf enthusiasts can hack these simple toys to give themselves an edge in their Nerf battles, it all begs the question, are Nerf guns actually safe?
Here we go. Yes, they are safe if you wear eye protection and you watch the ground around you. Like, even stock stuff, you should be wearing eye protection because it's just not even comfortable to get shot in the eyes. But there's no other way that a Nerf blaster itself can harm you if you wear proper eye protection.
Hasbro says that they are, although they prefer to call them Nerf blasters instead of Nerf guns, a term that's less scary for kids and more acceptable to their parents.
Then why are you calling them guns?
Hasbro insists that each model of Nerf gun is rigorously tested for safety before it's released. In fact, Hasbro has a state-of-the-art testing facility at their headquarters where employees can test out the latest Nerf guns in a range of real-life scenarios.
Apart from the ones that allowed the Ultra One to get 120 feet stock. I mean, I literally asked them, hey, what conditions caused the 120-foot result that you're touting in your advertisement? And they literally said, we're not allowed to tell you that. So that just tells me that their testing for range is complete and utter bullshit, and they're just fudging numbers.
From the outdoors to basements to even dorm rooms. And since the darts are made of foam and the guns are not especially powerful, the risk of serious injury is pretty low, though not without their risks. For example, ahead of the 2017 Christmas season, UK eye doctors issued a warning to the public about the danger of irreversible eye damage from Nerf darts and balls.
That happened once, and it was a rival blaster that shoots significantly harder and has significantly heavier ammo. And also, foam doesn't inherently always mean safe. I can shoot a 200 FPS dart and it'll still nuke your eye.
But even still, Nerf guns are certainly a much safer option than other popular gun-based games, like paintball or airsoft.
Yes, and that's why the rival blaster you mentioned is for 14 and up.
It just might not be a bad idea to wear eye protection.
Then why are literally none of your characters wearing eye protection in this video?
Especially when playing with some of the more high-powered models, or using DIY modified blasters.
Wear eye protection, period, not just with stock stuff, because the stock rival blaster is the one that actually caused the noted eye injury in the media that this particular video refers to.
Nerf guns have been around for 3 decades, and they probably aren't going away anytime soon. It may seem like there are cool new Nerf guns and exciting new options every time you look, but the engineering principles behind how a Nerf gun works have stood the test of time.
Apart from the back pressure tank you thought that the Twin Shock was.
They've changed very little since the Nerf gun was first introduced.
Oh, there we go, contradicting ourselves yet again, Infographics Show.
The next time you're facing a heated Nerf battle, you'll not only know how a Nerf gun works, but you'll also know how to give yourself an edge with Nerf hacks and custom gun mods.
In a stock battle, you will literally not be allowed to use modified blasters. Maybe, sure, you can do it in some unofficial wars, but you will not be allowed to bring a modified blaster into a stock velocity round with any group that's out there. Also, you forgot entirely about flywheelers, as if they don't exist and they aren't a huge part of the Hasbro Nerf ecosystem.
And you'll dominate that Nerf battlefield. Your enemies won't stand a chance against you, now that you know exactly how a Nerf gun works.
Again, you won't be allowed to bring a modified blaster into a stock velocity war. That's just not going to happen. And it's kind of a different thing between knowing how the blasters actually mechanically operate to being good at Nerf wars. I know plenty more than you do about how Nerf blasters work because I've been modding them for years, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to inherently dominate. I can be tagged out by a 5-year-old with a stock Jolt with all my gear.
If you thought this video was fun, you'll want to be sure and check out our other videos.
The only fun part about this was picking apart everything that you got absolutely wrong. Overall, what do I think about this video? Well, it definitely smacks of people who don't really understand the hobby very well. It's a self-contradictory mess in points, but there is some good stuff like always wearing eye protection. They missed electronic springers like the Stampede and the Vulcan, which they mentioned the Vulcan. They got some things very wrong in their research, and for all they're talking about how there's a giant community of modders out there that constantly modify their blasters, they really don't talk to them very much, and they don't really talk to people who attend Nerf wars very much. And they also seem to think that there's no such thing as organized wars and organized war groups, which is false. So I will post this as a response video to their video, and I will link it in their video in the comments section, hopefully telling people what they got wrong and what they got right. In any case, that's all for today. Take care.